95.7 The Game.
All right, so you got to go to YouTube right now, all right? Search out 95.7 The Game. If you're not subscribed to us on YouTube, what are you doing? It takes 2 seconds. Everybody needs to have their own YouTube account. It's free. You can sign up for free, and you can watch us. I got multiple smart televisions. Everybody, if you buy a new TV, you got a smart TV, and you're going to have the YouTube option. You can literally put us up on the television while you're making breakfast, or maybe you're just hanging out at the home doing whatever. Hey, Alexa, throw on YouTube, whatever it is. I've got this box, okay, and I've got a new segment because Bonta likes to go down the rabbit hole from time to time and box score hunt.
My thing.
And certain names will come up. So, for example, last night, I'm watching the broadcast, Krug and Kipe, and they talk about Luis Gonzalez.
Yeah, Gonzo.
And Luis Gonzalez is meeting the new Luis Gonzalez. And yes, you can hear it. I'm holding a box. Go on YouTube and you can look at
numbers?
it now.
You see those numbers? 354 home runs?
And Kuiper goes, that's a lot of home runs. And I go, damn, that is a lot of home runs.
And it's a lot of home runs. And
I was like, he did hit a lot of home runs.
He did. He is the Arizona Diamondbacks. He is the face of that franchise.
He's their greatest player.
Yep.
Yeah,
no doubt.
There's no doubt about it.
Hit off of Mariano Rivera.
No doubt.
In the all-time classic World Series.
No doubt. I mean, he's their guy. And Brandon Webb was their best pitcher at one point. Maybe
Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson, Kurt Schilling.
Yeah, but
Randy Johnson was a really good Diamondback.
He was a great guy.
More for Seattle, though, with Randy.
Well, it's Expo, Seattle, 2 months in Houston. He was everywhere. He's a giant. You know what I mean? He played on a lot of teams.
But him and Schilling, that 1-2 punch
they're ridiculous.
was nasty.
But the point being is that I started to box score hunt on Luis Gonzalez, and I'm going down the rabbit hole. I said, God damn, he had some great years. And so while it's baseball season, we'll do this in football as well.
Yep.
Certain times when Bonta wants to go box score hunting, I've created a box. And you can hear it. Can you hear it? Can you guys hear this? Can you hear that?
I can hear it.
All right.
By the way, just randomly before, since we're box scored, you brought up Randy Johnson. He pitched with the Diamondbacks when he was 35. 35 to the age 40.
Give it to me.
Those years.
Give it to me. So here's this is like box score Bonta here.
103, 49, 103 wins, 49 losses.
That's more than Lincecum had in his career, I think.
This is from the age of 35 to 40.
Okay.
All right? This is sick.
Livermore, California.
2.65 ERA.
Wow.
Late 30s. 2.65 ERA, right? Still pumping gas. All right? How many strikeouts here? Where's my strikeouts?
Tell me he had 1,200 or more strikeouts.
Gosh, complete games. He had 36 complete games.
36?
36. 14 shutouts. 14 shutouts. 1,832 strikeouts in that 5-year span.
Well, now
1,832 strikeouts.
So this is what I'm talking about. So I want Bonta to smile and laugh, and we're going to go down the yesteryear because we love stats and stuff. So I've got a box. It says, what does it say on it, Bonta? Why don't you
box score Bonta.
Okay, I cut a little hole in it, or I guess Lubman did, and we threw different names in there, and I'm going to rattle it around, and you're going to reach your hand in there, and you're going to pull out a name, all right?
All right, box score Bonta.
Music? Wait, time out. Do we have some music?
Oh, a little baseball tonight.
Langford,
I'm going through.
You already did, but it's box score Bonta.
All right, I'm going through
here. So
here.
you're going to pick out a random name, and we're going to pull up their box scores.
All right, here we go. I'm giving you the box back. There's the box.
All right.
I'll pull it up the paper. Box score Bonta, the first name we ever pull up.
What is it?
Brady Anderson.
No way.
The former Baltimore Oriole, Brady Anderson.
All right, I'm going to look this up with you.
Brady Anderson. Wow, what a name. What a random name. Now, the one thing everybody knows about Brady Anderson, if you're 35 and older.
Yes.
1 year, Brady Anderson out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. And I mean out of nowhere. This guy was a guy who had 21 home runs, 13, 12, 16. In 1996,
give it to me.
At the age of 32, Brady Anderson hit 50 home runs and drove in 110 runs.
Dude, this is insane. When you're looking at the home run logs, like you said, 21, 13, 12, 16, 50.
And then he goes back down to 18, 18, 24, 19. So 1996. Wow. You think the steroids were pumping? I mean, 50 home runs, 110 RBIs in 1996.
That was almost a quarter of his career home runs in that one season.
All right, so he hit 50 that year. He finished his career with 210 home runs.
That's more than Buster.
Over 15 years. 15-year career, 210 home runs, 50 coming in one season.
When you think of Brady Anderson, you think of 50, right?
You think of 50. That's all you think of.
Immediately.
50 home runs is like, wait a minute. Who is this guy hitting 50 home runs as a lefty?
Here's my favorite one. 749 plate appearances in 1992.
Wow.
749!
Jesus Christ.
That's crazy.
Jesus Christ. 21 home runs that year. 80 RBI, batted 271. The year he hit 50, he batted 297. It was an all-star. Actually, a three-time all-star. Three-time all-star, Brady Anderson. So that's a hell of a name right
Wow.
there. A blaster to pass.
Brady Anderson.
Want a little highlight to close things out?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
give it to me.
Oh, yeah. High in the air to right. This has a chance. This has a chance. It is gone. Number 50 for Brady Anderson. A new club record. He becomes the first Oriole ever to hit 50 home runs.
What?
And does it in his first at bat.
Not Brooks Robinson, not Eddie Murray. Brady Anderson hit 50.
Not Frank Robinson, not Albert Bell, not Manny Machado, not Chris Davis, Crush Davis.
Wow.
That was on September 29th of 1996.
I think
Wow.
Chris Davis did it after him.
Did Chris Davis
I
end up
think he
hitting
did.
50?
Remember after he slandered Barry Bonds?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, his career high was 53 in 2013. 53 home runs, 138 RBIs.
Then he got the huge contract and then ended up hitting like under 200 for the rest of his career.
It got rough.
That was fun. Brady Anderson, are you kidding me?
Wow.
Do you remember that Yankee Oriole series?
Absolutely.
The kid?
The kid who
Yeah. What
at
was
the
the
Wiz.
kid's
Jeffrey Mayer.
Jeffrey Mayer.
Look at you.
Who was the right-
Lupin's like, that's my second cousin.
Who was the right fielder who was pointing up at Jeffrey?
Not Bernie Williams.
No, it wasn't
was
Ber-
Paul O'Neill?
No, for the Orioles, because it obviously.
Oh, the Orioles. It was.
Yeah, because Jeffrey Mayer was a Yankee fan. It was at Yankee Stadium. And the right fielder's like pointing like, yo, this guy reached over the fence. He reached over the fence. And you know what I
Jeffrey
remember?
Hammond?
I was going to say Jeffrey Hammond.
He was also in that Marlins Giants series.
Yeah, he had the big hit.
Forever
With,
Giant Jeffrey Hammond.
yeah, where he had
Not
the
a
hit where
forever giant.
JT Snow got thrown out at the plate. Remember Jeffrey Hammond hit
Yes.
a single. Who was that right fielder? And all I remember from that play was the Wiz sign that was on the outfield
Yes.
wall. Nobody beats the Wiz. That's all I remember about that play. It's
Yes.
like, man, that's a big old Wiz sign. What's Wiz? Is it cheese? Is it a wizard?
So do you know who hit the ball?
Was it Derek Jeter?
Yeah, it's your boy.
Derek Jeter. So who's the right fielder for Baltimore?
Tony Tarasco.
I was going to say that, and I didn't think.
Tarasco.
I swear to you, I was going to say that, and I was like, no, I don't think it was Tarasco. I don't think he was an Oriole at the time. That was a great series.
It really was.
And those Oriole teams were great with Cal Ripken Jr., Roberto Alomar came over from Cleveland.
You know what the Orioles are? They're the Nebraska football of baseball. They were great for like our entire lives until the last like 15 years.
Yeah, well, they had the years with Adam Jones and Manny
but
Machado.
not like it is now. I mean, they just feel like an all-star ran. Their history is so rich. They had 4 20-game winners. Obviously, one of my favorite double-play duos of all time, Billy and Cal Ripken. Eddie Murray's one of my favorite dudes of all time, switch-hitting 500 home run guy.
Bobby Bonilla.
Bobby Bonilla.
Well, obviously, Bobby. But Bonilla, to me, is a pirate. Like, that's
So-
what I view him as, and also a Marlin.
So the last time the Orioles
And a Met.
made the playoffs, they lost the wild card game to the Blue Jays when Buck Showalter wouldn't insert Zach Britton, their longtime
yeah.
closer.
Yeah.
So they made the playoffs in 2016. Made the playoffs in 2014 when they got swept in the ALCS.
That was with Adam Jones and them.
Adam Jones, Manny Machado,
Yeah.
Chris Davis. Who was on
J.J.
that
Hardy
team?
was on that team, maybe?
J.J. Hardy, shortstop, former Milwaukee Brewer.
Yeah.
And then they lost in the ALDS in 2012, 3-2. So they lost to the Kansas City Royals. They got swept by the
You
Royals.
want to feel old? Jeffrey Mayer was 12 years old when that play happened.
Wow.
He's 38 today.
Wow. Nelson Cruz was on that 2012 team.
Nelson Cruz?
Nelson Cruz was on that team.
What was he, 41 at that point?
Kevin Gausman pitched 2 games. Nick Hundley was on that roster. Nick Hundley, how about that? Adam Jones, of course. Yeah, Nick Markakis.
Markakis.
Right fielder, of course. Jonathan Shoop, Steve Pierce, Chris Tillman, Delman Young was on that roster.
Delman
How about
Young.
Delman Young? So the Orioles.
Before going after a minor league umpire.
Oh my gosh, Delman Young was, you talk about talent.
I mean, he was going to be the dude.
His brother as well, Dimitri Young. Remember Dimitri Young?
He had
was
a
really good.
lot of dyed beard game going. Remember, he had the blonde
Yeah,
beards
I do
and things
remember
like that.
I remember that.
The where I'm going at with this on the Orioles is that it does feel like since the Washington Nationals kind of moved into their neck of the woods,
Stole some of their thunder.
no, a lot of their thunder. They feel like a team that doesn't have a future or a present. present, and it's just it's a team that's kind of forgotten, and they're an all-time team in terms of their history.
I'm looking at Earl Weaver. Of course, you always remember Earl Weaver and all the great sound bites. But in the 90s, 97, 96, they made the playoffs 2 years in a row. They were battling with those great Yankee teams. Then you got to go back to the 70s when they advanced, to 3 straight World Series.
Yeah.
3 straight World Series. They won one in the
Palmer.
80s. Jim Palmer was great, man. They had some great players in the Baltimore Orioles system. Started off in St. Louis. Did not know that. St. Louis Browns.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, St. Louis Browns, Baltimore Orioles. When they won the World Series, they won 108 games that year. They beat the Cincinnati Reds. So look, I would just name the pitching staff for the Orioles because they were all-time great. Jim Palmer's right there. Damn, Jim Palmer. Look at that. Jim Palmer, Dick Hall. Who else did they have? Mike Seller, Dave McNally. These are names I don't even know.
Well, they all hurt themselves. On the baseball front right now, did you see some of the rule changes that are being kind of experimented with in terms of second base and the shift and everything like that? I sent you a photo.
The shift is something that's been talked about. By the way, you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and AC1, San Francisco and Odyssey Station. Download the Odyssey app and favorite 95.7 The Game for the best and most up-to-date Warriors coverage, Niners coverage, and, of course, Giants coverage.
Yeah.
You're bringing up the rule changes before the show, looking at all these different leagues.
Yeah.
And we've had offensive explosions in every single league, including baseball.
Yeah, so let's just go the other sports besides baseball, right? In the NFL, we've obviously made quarterback safety a high priority for a reason, right? We're going to pay these guys the most. We don't want them to get hurt. The quarterback's got to stay safe. Mm-hmm. They've also had the 5-yard bump, which, has changed football in terms of freedom of movement for wide receivers, which has opened up the field. Yep. Defenseless receiver over the middle. I mean, you watch the old 80s and 90s, you couldn't throw over the middle the way you can now.
Ronnie Lott, I'm convinced, couldn't play in this era.
Well, and also, think
John
of guys
Lynch.
like Tyreek Hill. Would Tyreek Hill be the same Tyreek Hill if he had to play with Bernard Pollard and Dante Whitner?
Steve Atwater.
Or Atwater.
You know what
I mean?
Just some of the greatest safeties ever.
And then I also look at, this is before, but neutral zone infractions and offsides, they've really changed the way defensive linemen can kind of go at offensive linemen and get them to jump offsides. And so there's been a lot of rule changes in the last 20, 25 years in the NFL. Basketball, hand checking rules, defensive 3
seconds in the key.
Exactly. The restricted zone. Obviously, they widen the lane going way back when. The advent of the 3-point shot. You've seen the offense explode in the NBA, and defense feels like it's kind of, not necessarily an afterthought, but
there's no emphasis on it.
Not like it used to be.
Because the casuals want to see points.
Exactly.
They want to see touchdowns.
So the 3 biggest innovations in baseball, now again, I named a ton for football and basketball. Helmets, 1971. Lowering the mound, 1969. Adding the DH in the AL, 1973. I understand why they don't want to change their game fundamentally, but we need to open up offense. And the way that things are going right now, all these balls that are hit up the middle are all getting gobbled up. It used to be Pete Rose right up the middle, the Kenny Lofton, Tony Gwynn, Ichiro up the middle, base hit. Now there's a guy sitting in short center or short right, and they're taking that away.
So are you anti-shift?
I'm open to it. I'm open to hearing the argument and the experimentation because I look at around big leagues right now, and it's got basically one of the lowest batting average, the league as a whole, since 1968 when they changed the mound.
You bat 260, and
you're one of the best players.
Yeah, it's equivalent to batting 300.
Exactly.
Weren't there was it last season at some point? It was going into August. There was 15 dudes batting over 300.
Yeah.
And in the entire majors.
And you contrast that with the early 2000s where there were over 40 or 50 guys.
Right.
Depending on the year.
It was a pride thing. It's I want to bat 300.
And also I think there's a specialization of pitching where guys are coming out of the bullpen blowing 100 and throwing multiple breaking balls. Yep. And they're all specialized. And then you have obviously the full swing era where everything's about launch angle and going full out, and strikeouts aren't going to hurt your image.
You think baseball maybe looked at the equipment and said these are our big changes, whether it comes to bats, baseballs, humidors.
Well, the baseball's part of it.
I feel like that's a huge part of it.
So the humidor is an interesting thing.
Also the ballparks as well.
The dimensions
teams
aren't
moving
uniform.
Fences in, they're moving fences out. Like Citi Field, the Mets Early on, it's a
Yeah.
pitcher's park. They move the fences in. Comerica Park. Yeah, the fences are too deep. Let's move the fences in. Petco Park.
AT&T.
Oracle Park. Move the fences in. Petco Park. Move the fences in. The Marlins. Move the fences in. I feel like that's kind of been their solution to adding more offense to the game.
Well, look at all the other sports have uniform dimensions for their court or their field. Baseball, you go to San Diego, the right field kind of zigzags. You know what I
Right.
mean? You go to Chase Field down in Arizona or whatever, and it's a huge ballpark. The point where I'm going at right now is like there's no uniformity, but they do need to open up offense. Like that's a reality. We like to see the ball in play.
Opening up offense in terms of balls in play because they are hitting home
Ground
runs.
balls.
Teams, yeah. You want to see guys. You want to see action on the base pass.
Yeah.
You want to see triples. You want to see doubles. You want to see guys like Chone Figgins making an impact. Young man from the Padres got called up yesterday. Ruiz goes 2 for 4. This kid's got so much speed. You want to see something like the late '80s Cardinals with Vince Coleman and Willie McGee and Ozzie Smith.
Well, the Freddie Sanchez types, guys that are going to go the other way, you know what I mean, and just try to put the ball in play, and you almost can't defend against them. So I guess what we're going at here is right now, if you hit a ground ball or bunt in baseball, 70% of the time you're going to make an out. Okay, that's what the current trend is. 70% of the time you're going to make an out. And I guess going back to the 70s and 80s, it was about 10% less. So meaning 10% of those balls would get through for hits. That's a lot of different. That's one extra base runner every 10 batters that are hitting the ball up the middle. I do think that's a lot. And so I look at it this way where I'm open to seeing it. I was anti-banning the shift. I thought it was silly, go the other way. And this guys aren't going to go the other way.
No.
Like they're incentivized to hit bombs.
It's done.
Well, and the other part about this is like, so let's say you're a right-handed hitter, right? I know that first base has to stand somewhere near first base because if I hit a ground ball, you want to be able to throw over there. If I'm left-handed, I can play all of my defensive players against the left-handed batter on that side of the pull side, and I don't even have to have a guy anywhere near third base because we're throwing over to the short side, which is the first base side. So there's an advantage for the right-handed hitters in terms of spacing out these infielders. So I want to make it a little more equal. I want to see more athleticism.
So you want the shift gone?
Well, Tim Flannery said it great, B. I thought that the shifting would create more athleticism. He goes, no, you have to be less athletic because you're standing in a spot that we've predetermined is where Jock Peterson's going to hit it. So instead of me moving to my left or right, it comes right to me. I want to see more guys diving left, making plays in the hole, things like that.
You ban the shift. Will it make the games longer that everybody's complained about? The time of game. The beauty of baseball to me is that there's no clock. You know what I'm saying? The game ends when the game ends. You have to get 27 outs. But if you ban the shift, then all of a sudden you may get longer games because there's a lot more action because now guys are starting to hit it in places to where it's like, oh, now I could pull the ball in between that hole between first base and second base. Maybe that's the argument there to keep the shift in play.
Well, so what they're trying to implement now, they had 2 guys on the left side of second, 2 guys on the right. They tried that in the minor leagues. It didn't really do much. They need to basically say, because guys are playing so deep up the middle or so deep into the hole.
Right.
They're going to put this little pie thing out. So basically a line coming out of both bags, and it looks like a 90-degree little slice of pie, and you'd basically have to play more traditional, and you couldn't move up the middle before the pitch. If you did, then the umpire would essentially give the team either the opportunity to keep the ball that's in play, or you get a ball as a hitter, meaning it would be 1-0 or 2-1 or whatever it is.
I tell you one thing I do want to ban is 4 outfielders. That to me is ridiculous.
I agree.
I don't like the 4 outfielder layout.
But here's where I find that difficult to enforce because as an infielder, I just know me, like you're always creeping. You're taught to creep before the pitch. That's moving around before the pitch. And hey, where's the catcher set up? If he's set up more outside, maybe I'll go a couple steps to the right. Maybe I'll go a couple steps to the left. I don't want to limit that. And I also don't want to limit how deep you can play because there's some guys, you do want to play them deeper.
So let me ask you.
You know, like a step or 2 into the outfield. Like it's just tough.
Let me ask you. Is the shift even, whether or not you have the shift, is it going to make a difference in today's philosophy? How big of a difference is it going to make?
Well, I think it'll take a couple years.
Because with the philosophies of these organizations
no doubt. And the players
home run,
coming
the
in.
3 true outcomes and all that stuff, and the players coming in. I know there's a lot more speed guys. You look at the solo like Acuna, Bobby Witt Jr., Julio Rodriguez,
Padres
Trey
guy who's got
Turner,
50 stolen
Ruiz
bases.
had 60 stolen bases in 77 games. I do feel like there's a more emphasis. Jazz Chisholm, Tim Anderson, guys who can run the base pass and make things happen. I do think there's a lane for them to come play baseball. and make an impact here. They tried it with Billy Hamilton. Remember Billy Hamilton from the Reds, but he just couldn't hit enough. Couldn't hit enough.
Giants had him for a minute.
But he had speed to burn.
Let me ask you this, because I guess this is more the equation that I'm trying to do in my head. What's more important right now, the product itself or the time of the product itself? Because we agree time is an element. Like that is a big problem with the game right now, how long a game takes. But to me, I would try to fix the product and then worry about tinkering the clocks and how many innings and things like that and how to shorten the game. Right now, I don't think there's enough sense of urgency. There's not enough excitement in terms of balls in play. And so I would try to make that product better. And then also, I think if you introduce this shifting situation where you're banning it, I think it creates more athleticism that has to be out on the field. You have to be able to move left and right as a shortstop and second baseman. Now, and Flannery brought this up, I thought it was the other way around, and I was wrong. Now, I could put Wilmer Flores, who can't move left and right. I'll just stick him out in short right field, and a ball comes to him like he's just fielding ground balls at practice. I want to see more Cal Ripkins up the middle, more Ozzie Smiths up the middle, diving for balls to their left. Isn't that what's exciting?
Yeah, that's what makes Brandon Crawford exciting, no doubt. I just don't know how much it's going to impact the game.
That's fair.
And in terms of time.
But isn't it worth the experiment?
Yeah, absolutely. But in terms of time, you may get an eighth inning like we saw, what was it, Monday night?
Bro, there was a 19-pitch at bat, and I was like, get this game over with.
You may have that no matter what. That's the beauty of baseball. I just get sick and tired of we need to shorten the games. You're going to get long games. You're going to have short games. You're going to have quick games.
Yesterday's game was over by 9:30.
Yeah. That's perfect.
The day before, what was it, 10:30?
10 o'clock. 10 o'clock, 10:30. It was late.
Game started at 6:40.
That's baseball.
No, I know.
That's baseball. So you're never going to, that's never going to be accurate or perfect when it comes to the time of the game.
I actually think the 6 o'clock start, it's 6:40 now. I think, to me, the easy way to fix this is 6 o'clock starts.
Well, you give people a chance to go home.
Yeah.
Get dressed. Pick up their kids, go to the yard.
You know,
I think 5:30 is too early on the West Coast.
Yeah, but
6 o'clock is pushing it. Because we saw the finals. It's tough for people to make the NBA finals at 6 o'clock.
There's no doubt about it. But I think there's more people who are watching on television, exponentially more. So you need to make your television audience more palpable, and you need to widen that audience. And when you're playing games till 10 o'clock at night, you're kind of diminishing the amount of people watching.
All right, let's take a quick time out here, talk a little to Jimmy Garoppolo on the other side. Jimmy Garoppolo, we're going to talk about him, and there's some news about him. There's some news about Trey Lance. Trey Lance and Brandon Ayuk were making s'mores together. Did you see that?
Other side, B.
Brandon Ayuk is my guy to blow up this year with the San Francisco 49ers.